The Hawaiian island of Maui is a place of breathtaking beauty. Lush green mountains meet turquoise waters. The air is warm and sweet with the scent of plumeria. It's a place where time seems to slow down, a place to escape the everyday. Emma was a woman of contradictions. She was strong and independent, yet vulnerable and searching for something more. Her long blonde hair and piercing blue eyes hinted at a free spirit, while her thoughtful gaze revealed a depth that drew people in. She was a writer at heart. Words were her escape, her passion, her way of making sense of the world. Emma's notebook was filled with stories waiting to be told. Stories of love and loss, of hope and heartbreak. Stories inspired by her own life and the lives of those she observed around her. She had come to Maui to heal and to find her voice again. Jack walked into the cafe, his guitar slung casually over his shoulder. He had the rugged good looks of a man who spent his days outdoors, with sun-kissed skin and a hint of mischief in his eyes. He was a man of few words, but his silence held a quiet intensity that drew people in. Music was his language, his passion, his way of expressing the emotions he kept hidden beneath the surface. His fingers danced across the strings, coaxing out melodies that spoke of love and longing, of heartache and hope. Jack's music was his truth, his vulnerability laid bare for all to hear. It was the one place where he allowed himself to be truly seen. He wasn't looking for love. In fact, he had sworn off love. But sometimes fate has a way of intervening, of rewriting your plans in ways you never could have imagined. The world seemed to fade away as their eyes locked. Emma, lost in her writing just moments before, felt a jolt of electricity shoot through her. Her pen froze mid-sentence, her breath caught in her throat. Jack, his usual confident demeanor momentarily shaken, felt a warmth spread through his chest. He had never been one to believe in love at first sight, but in that instant, he couldn't deny the pull he felt towards this intriguing stranger. Over the next few days, their paths continued to cross, as if guided by an invisible hand. They would bump into each other in the market, exchanging shy smiles. Their eyes would meet across the crowded street, lingering for a beat too long before looking away. Each encounter, however fleeting, left them wanting more. One sunny afternoon, as Emma stepped out of the bookstore, a book of poetry tucked under her arm, she saw him again. Jack was leaning against a lamppost across the street, his guitar case resting beside him. He was watching her, a look of such undisguised admiration on his face that Emma felt her cheeks flush even from across the street. Their eyes met, and for a moment the bustling street scene faded away. It was just the two of them, their connection palpable even from a distance. Emma's breath hitched in her throat, her heart pounding against her ribs. This time she couldn't look away. As if sensing her hesitation, Jack straightened up, a determined look on his face. He began to cross the street, expertly navigating the flow of pedestrians, his eyes never leaving hers. The cafe became an unspoken meeting place. Not a word had been spoken, not a promise made, yet each found themselves drawn back to that cozy corner by the window. It was as if an unseen bridge had been built between them, invisible to the world, yet strong enough to tug at their hearts. Emma would find herself rearranging her schedule, making excuses to visit the cafe at the same time she'd glimpsed Jack there before. Their encounters outside the cafe were a symphony of near misses and unspoken words, a brush of shoulders in the crowded market, a shared glance across the bustling street, a knowing smile exchanged as they reached for the same book in the bookstore. Each encounter, brief and fleeting as it was, left an imprint, a lingering warmth that echoed long after they parted ways. One evening, as Emma sat on a swing set in a deserted playground, the last rays of sunlight painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. The air thrummed with a strange energy, a sense of anticipation that sent shivers down her spine. Jack, miles away, perched on a rocky outcrop overlooking the vast expanse of the ocean, felt it too. A shift in the atmosphere, a whisper of destiny carried on the wind. 4 years had passed since Emma's life-altering trip to Maui. 4 years since the chance encounters, an unspoken connection with a mysterious musician in a charming coastal cafe. Life had moved on, carrying her along its unpredictable currents. She had returned to the mainland, to the familiar rhythm of her life in the city, a life that now seemed a distant echo of the woman she had been on that magical island. The restaurant buzzed with the low hum of conversation, the clinking of glasses a delicate counterpoint to the soft jazz playing in the background. Emma, elegantly dressed in a simple black dress that accentuated her curves, took a deep breath, steeling herself for the business dinner ahead. Her career as a writer had flourished. Time seemed to warp. The familiar scent of plumeria and the sound of crashing waves washing over her, transporting her back to that sun-drenched cafe in Maui. Her heart, so carefully guarded, skipped a beat, a drum solo against her ribs. Slowly she turned, her gaze drawn to the source of the voice that had, in an instant, shattered the carefully constructed peace of her world. Jack. Older. Perhaps a touch more world-weary, but undeniably him. The years had been kind, etching lines around his eyes that only accentuated their warmth, their familiar depth sending a shiver down her spine. He stood frozen, a half-smile playing on his lips, disbelief warring with a hope he hadn't dared to acknowledge. An awkward silence stretched between them, filled only with the ghosts of memories and the weight of unspoken words. "What brings you here?" Jack finally asked, his voice a low rumble that sent a shiver down her spine. "Business," she replied, her voice regaining some of its usual confidence. "I'm here for a book signing." He nodded, his gaze never leaving her face. "Your books? They're incredible. I've read them all." A warmth spread through her chest, a flicker of pride battling with the resurgence of that familiar ache. She had poured her heart into her writing, channeling the emotions she couldn't articulate, the longing she couldn't outrun. The words hung in the air, a tangible presence in the space between them. Jack's face, so open a moment ago, shuttered, his jaw clenching as he absorbed the blow. The hope that had flickered in his eyes dimmed, replaced by a quiet understanding that tugged at Emma's heartstrings. I should let you get back to your dinner," she stammered, the weight of his disappointment a physical ache in her chest. He nodded, his gaze never leaving hers. "It was good to see you, Emma." The words, so simple, so final, felt like a punch to the gut. As she turned to leave, the echo of their unspoken connection followed her. A haunting melody that threatened to drown out the sounds of the city. The encounter with Jack in that upscale restaurant shook Emma to her core. It was as if a dormant volcano had suddenly roared to life within her, its fiery lava of emotions threatening to consume the carefully constructed walls around her heart. The city lights outside her apartment window, once a source of inspiration, now seemed cold and distant, a stark contrast to the warmth she'd glimpsed in Jack's eyes. Sleep was a fickle companion in those long, restless nights. Memories of Maui, so carefully tucked away, danced through her dreams, each stolen glance, each brush of their hands, a poignant reminder of what could have been. Jack's words, "You never came back to the cafe," echoed in the silence of her apartment, a constant ache in her chest. Days turned into weeks, each one a battle against the rising tide of her own suppressed emotions. She'd thrown herself into her work, seeking solace in the world of her characters, but even their stories seemed lackluster, their passions pale imitations of the fire that burned within her. It was then, in the quiet solitude of her writing den, that Emma made a life-altering decision. The moment Emma stepped off the plane in Maui, a wave of peace washed over her. It was as if she'd come home, not to a place, but to a feeling, a sense of belonging she hadn't realized she'd been yearning for. The air was thick with the scent of plumeria, the warmth of the sun, a familiar embrace. Taking a deep breath, she allowed herself a small smile. This time she was here for herself, for a second chance at happiness, for a love that had haunted her dreams for far too long. Her heart pounded against her ribs as she hailed a taxi, her fingers nervously clutching a crumpled piece of paper with an address scribbled on it, Jack's address. She'd managed to track him down, a combination of internet sleuthing and sheer determination fueling her search. He was still in Maui, still playing his music, still, she hoped, carrying a torch for the woman who'd walked away all those years ago. The taxi pulled up outside a modest beach shack, the sound of waves crashing against the shore a soothing soundtrack to her racing thoughts. Taking another deep breath, she stepped out onto the sandy driveway, her hand hovering over the weathered wooden door. The beach shack, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, became their sanctuary. Emma learned that Jack had turned his passion for music into a career, playing gigs at local bars and teaching guitar to island kids. He had a quiet strength about him, a depth she'd only glimpsed in their stolen moments at the cafe years ago. Their days were spent exploring hidden coves, sharing laughter over picnics on the beach, and making love under the starlit sky. The connection they'd felt years ago was stronger than ever, fueled by a newfound maturity, a shared understanding of the fragility of life and the preciousness of second chances. Emma's writing flourished in this new environment, the words flowing effortlessly from her pen, each story infused with a depth of emotion that surprised even her. Jack's music, too, took on a new dimension, his melodies reflecting the joy and passion that had blossomed between them. One evening, as they sat on the porch swing, watching the sun paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, Jack turned to her, his eyes filled with a love that took her breath away. "I never thought I'd see you again," he confessed, his voice husky with emotion. "I thought I'd lost you forever." The idyllic bubble of their newfound love couldn't shield Emma entirely from the ghosts of her past. Despite the joy she felt with Jack, a shadow of doubt lingered at the edges of her happiness. The memory of her broken engagement, the feeling of failure that had followed, occasionally cast a pall over their sun-drenched days. She found herself questioning her own judgment. How could she be sure this time was different? Was she destined to repeat the mistakes of her past, to hurt Jack as she had hurt her former fiancé? The fear, irrational yet persistent, gnawed at her confidence, threatening to undermine the foundation of trust they were building. Emma hesitated, her heart pounding against her ribs. The weight of her unspoken fears, the vulnerability she'd kept hidden for so long, threatened to spill over. She looked into Jack's eyes, saw the unwavering love and acceptance reflected there, and knew she couldn't keep her demons locked away any longer. "I'm scared," she confessed, her voice barely a whisper against the roar of the ocean. "Scared of messing things up, of hurting you." Jack's grip on her hand tightened, his thumb gently stroking her skin in a gesture that was both comforting and reassuring. "Why would you think that?" he asked, his voice calm, his gaze never leaving hers. "Because I've hurt someone before," she whispered, the confession tearing through her like a shard of glass. "I was engaged, Jack, but I realized I wasn't being true to myself, to my heart." A wave crashed against the shore, its roar echoing the turmoil in Emma's heart. Tears welled in her eyes, blurring her vision as she waited for Jack's reaction, bracing herself for the judgment she feared. Instead, she felt his arms envelop her, pulling her close, his embrace a haven of warmth and understanding. "Emma," he murmured, his lips brushing against her hair, "we all make mistakes. What matters is that we learn from them, that we allow ourselves to grow." The world unfolded before Emma and Jack like a map with infinite possibilities. Their shared dream of exploring the world, of weaving their love story into the fabric of different cultures and landscapes, became their compass. They traded the familiar comfort of their Maui haven for the intoxicating unknown, their backpacks filled with the essentials and their hearts overflowing with a thirst for adventure. From the bustling markets of Marrakesh to the serene temples of Kyoto, from the sun-drenched beaches of Thailand to the snow-capped peaks of the Andes, they gathered experiences like precious souvenirs, each one a testament to their love and a testament to their shared spirit of adventure. Emma's writing blossomed, each new setting igniting her imagination, her stories becoming a tapestry woven with threads of their journey. Jack's music, too, took on new dimensions, his melodies infused with the rhythms and sounds of the world, each note a reflection of their shared experiences. They found inspiration in the most unexpected places, a chance encounter with a street musician in Buenos Aires, a shared meal with a nomadic family in the Mongolian desert, a breathtaking sunset over the Taj Mahal. Each experience, whether grand or simple, wove its magic into the fabric of their love, strengthening the bond that had brought them together on that fateful day in a Maui cafe. Their love, like a fine wine, aged gracefully, deepening with each passing year, each challenge overcome, each triumph celebrated. They learned to navigate the inevitable storms that life threw their way, their love the anchor that kept them grounded, their shared dreams the compass that guided them through rough seas. Years later, their travels behind them, they found themselves drawn back to the place where it all began, Maui. The island, a silent witness to their love story, welcomed them back with open arms, the familiar scent of plumeria a fragrant reminder of their journey. They built a home on a secluded stretch of beach, a cozy cottage with a wraparound porch that offered breathtaking views of the ocean. Their days were filled with the simple pleasures that brought them joy. Long walks on the beach, sharing stories over cups of Kona coffee, and listening to Jack's music as the sun dipped below the horizon. Emma's books, now translated into multiple languages, continued to touch the hearts of readers around the world. Her stories a testament to the enduring power of love and the transformative nature of following one's dreams. Jack, his music as soulful and evocative as ever, found joy in sharing his gift with the local community, teaching a new generation of musicians the language of the heart. As they sat on their porch swing, their hands intertwined, their wedding rings glinting in the warm glow of the setting sun, they knew that their love story, like the ocean before them, was vast, ever-changing yet eternally connected. They had faced challenges, weathered storms, and emerged stronger, their love the constant, the anchor that had seen them through. Theirs was a love story that had begun with a chance encounter, blossomed in the shadow of a banyan tree, and grown into an epic adventure that spanned continents and lifetimes. It was a love story that proved that sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the most extraordinary destinations. And as they watched the stars emerge in the velvet sky, their love a beacon in the night, they knew that their story, like the stars themselves, would continue to shine brightly, forever entwined.